They're called the Greatest Generation, men and women from all walks of life who grew up in the Great Depression, led our nation to victory in World War II, and helped make America a beacon of freedom and democracy for all the world. And do they have some stories to tell? I'm pleased to be partnering with the New York State Military Museum and Veterans Research Center to preserve the words and memories of many of our World War II veterans. These stories will be entered into the state's archives, where they will be accessible to researchers, academics, and future generations. Our veterans have given so much to help build a brighter future for all Americans. This tribute is just one small way of saying thank you.
Angelo Favata. I'm 90 years old. I was drafted when I was 18. I turned 19 3 months later. And, I was in the Army. They sent me down to Georgia, field artillery. So it was a cadre there of Southern boys. They taught us how to be soldiers. They did a good job of it.
What were some of the things that they taught you?
Well, we had 105s, Howitzers. We trained with them. And they found out we were so good that they came out with this 8-inch gun. So we trained with that for a few months. So we knew how to set it up, fire it, and all that. So then we left Georgia. We were in Tennessee on maneuvers and all that. Down to Camp Landing, Florida, back up to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And then from there we shipped out to Camp Shacks, New York. And I come down with a flu. So what medics there, the captain, the medics, he gave me a batch of sulfa pills to take. I had a temperature, I guess, about 104. So we were supposed to ship out the next morning. This was late in the afternoon we got there. He said, if your temperature's not down, he said, you're not going, I'm going to keep you behind. So I thought, Jesus, I got to beat this somehow, so I took the whole box of pills. The captain came in at 3 o'clock in the morning and checked me out. I still had a fever, I think, I don't know, 101 or 2, you know what it was. He said, I'm not going to let you ship out, I'm going to keep you here. So I said, gee, I want to go with my buddies, you know, and I called him every name under the sun. I'm surprised he didn't throw me the brig. But I said, I got to ship out with my buddies. He said, you're too weak, you won't be able to go. I said, they'll carry me. So he didn't want to let me go, but I said, well, I'll take a chance. He said, you know, anything happens to you, it's going to be my ass too. I said, So finally he agreed to let me go, and one guy decided we had to walk 5 miles down to the boat to the ocean. Helped me walk, and another guy had my duffel bag, my rifle, then if we had to take the guitar I had. So we made it to the boat, and I was still sicker to hell, and we got on to Queen Elizabeth. They made a troop ship out of it. And, I remember the ocean, which is like glass, was beautiful. We landed in Glasgow, Scotland. And I was still seeing the medic to get these pills to keep me going. So we went all the way down through the England into close to the Camp Saanich, I think, or was close to the Channel, waiting for the invasion. So the initial invasion was, I think it was June the 6th. So we went across the Channel, I think, 4 days later. So we weren't in the initial invasion. But we didn't have it as bad as the other guys that went in the first time. But we were in LSTs. They dropped the end of that down in the water. We had to walk through water a couple of feet.
Take your time. Want me to stop?
The water was all blood. A lot of dead bodies floating in the water yet. There was ships as far as you could see. Navy ships, all kinds of ships, boats. So they were strafing and bombing the beach. You know, they didn't want to stick it up on top, but we were with General Patton at that time. He had already, they had so far inland in France that I don't know how many miles they were in there, so we got up on top there. We caught up with them, the front lines, and we went to set up our gun. We had a crane-operated truck to set the gun up, dig holes for it. You see, when that gun fired, it recoiled 4 foot. So you had to dig a hole for that to recoil in. Had big spades, 2 on each side of this gun. Probably weighed about 150 pounds apiece, so the crane was supposed to do all this. So we had the carriage down and started to swing the crane around with a big tube on it. I had guys on each end with a rope. I was an ammunition corporal, by the way. So they must have heard, the Germans must have heard the sound of the engine. So all of a sudden we started getting time fire overhead. So the crane operator, I'll never forget him, he was great. Joe Montanaro, he's from Liverpool. He went like, put his hands up in the air. The guys all took off, under for cover. So when the shelling stopped, we packed up, moved to a different location. But we found out we couldn't use the crane because they'd hear that motor running. They'd find us somehow or other. So all these holes had to be dug by hand. So I was a guide with a couple of guys that would go forward. And supposed to have a template that you traced out to dig the holes for, but I finally, in my mind, I knew how to do it without the template. Anyway, we got set up and fired. And I think we had about 2 months of combat, I guess. They brought us back from the front lines to a wooded area there in France to get showers and new clothes and stuff. And after I was lifting my shoes off, my socks fell apart. They were rotten. My feet smelled like they were dead flesh. So I got new clothes and showered and all that, and they rested us for a week. And I went to join the front lines again. So we headed into Germany. We were on the banks of the Rohr River. We were there for about 2 weeks. We couldn't get across. We were waiting for the infantry to get farther inside there. So they used to send an airplane out just before dark, the Germans, see where if they could find us and out. So I guess he must have located us because toward dark, the bombers started coming over us. So the lieutenant says behind us was a German air raid shelter that was empty. So he says, everybody go down the air raid shelter. So we got down, it must have been about 75 feet down in there. There's a long corridor there and bunks on both sides. So we're all sitting there and the bombs are falling and the dirt's falling on top of us. And this funny part, this big guy from Alabama, nobody was saying a word, the bomb was falling, dirt was falling on top of us. All of a sudden he says, just call me a mole, I'm going to dig a cellar to this place. We all busted out laughing. Anyway, when it stopped, we come up and our gun was still intact. So we made it through Germany. Well, then they had to take us. I remember we was riding on a train for a couple of days. They needed us in Belgium. I can't remember for what for. We got there about midnight, and we're all laying on the ground. All of a sudden, one of those buzz bombs come over. And, I'll never forget the major. We had a white-headed major. I guess he was in the cellar of this depot where we were at. We were all laying on the ground. So all of a sudden, this buzz bomb was floating around. And the major come running out of there with just his long johns on and helmet and boots and 245 strapped on. It was funny looking at. But then the flame went out. That thing was circling through the air and landed about a mile from us. And the sky was all bright red, and the ground shook for miles around. But anyway, it missed us. So we got out farther into Germany then. Winter come on. It was awful cold, and it was below 0 at times. And General Reiser come up, I forgot where we were, to check the troops. He wanted to know how we were doing, if we needed any, if we were getting our supplies. One of the guys noticed he had overshoes on. I said, "Gee, General," he says, "we'd be a lot better off if we had overshoes like you got." He noticed that we didn't have overshoes. Our feet were froze. So his word was good. A couple of weeks later, we got overshoes. It's like a little bit of it. So we made it to the Rhine River. And I swear that river must have been a mile wide. We had to go because every time the Germans across the river, they blow the bridges out. So we had to cross over on a pontoon bridge that the engineers that built them guys were awesome. So we started over. We're right in this, it was like a tank, it was a troop mover there, and we were sitting in that. And as we were going along, I had a look down, and of course the planes were strafing and bombing. They were trying to blow us out of the water. As we were going, the pontoon started sinking. I said, "Oh my God, we're probably going to drown if they don't blow us out of here." But we made it across. And there came spring, I guess, later on. We got caught up in the Battle of the Bulge. So then we got to Buchenwald, the camp Buchenwald. Well, the Germans, they were retreating so fast that there was about a week period, so we didn't need not to set our gun up to fire. Of course, the Germans had retreated from there, and there were still a couple of prisoners there. So they showed us the gas chambers where they gassed the people. And there was a series of ovens. They had ramps there. They used to gas them and throw bodies on there and throw in a furnace like cordwood. Burn their bodies up. And outside, there was a mound of ashes, about 2 stories high. There's parts of the body that didn't burn. You could see arms, legs, whatever, that didn't burn completely. And to the left of that, there was a long ditch that they had dug. And they lined, I guess it must have lined the bodies up alongside and machine gunned them all. They were stacked in there like cordwood. See, they didn't have a chance to cover up what they did. The smell was so bad, and they just said, what prisoners were there, the little clothes they had, they was just like rags, they were just like skeletons. So Eisenhower issued an order out. He wanted all the troops that could make it there to verify what the Nazis did. And anyway, I made it through the war without getting wounded. All my wounds are in here. And I got discharged in January of 47, or 46. I come home and got married, bought a little house of what I had left out in the Scribe where the atomic plants are now, but my war wasn't over with yet. I guess through the service, having that fluid, all the TB germs set into my body. So I started spitting up blood, and I wound up in the Oral Sanatorium. I almost died there. The priest gave me the last rites. I was there for 2.5 years. I finally came home. But I guess the Lord was with me all the while through the war. And He brought me out of this. And I'm 90 years old, and I can't believe it, and I'm in fairly good health right now.